Hi, everybody. Welcome. We are here. We're a few minutes early. We're just kind of giving everybody a chance to get on and make sure everything's up and running. So bear with us a second.
Hello. We're so happy you're here. If you're here yet.
Yes.
We're just going to be hanging out for the next 2 minutes before we go on exactly mountain time.
We're just going to test our Q&A here, and this feature's disabled. But people can do this box here.
Okay, chat box.
Yeah.
Should we type in hello?
Yeah.
We're just going to be hanging out for the next 2 minutes before we go on exactly mountain time.
We're just going to test our Q&A here. And
where's the mute on this?
Let's see. Box here. Chat. There's this little delay.
Oh, look, you can even go clear.
Okay.
That's cool.
We're just going to be hanging out for the next 2 minutes.
So is it recording now already?
I think it's, yeah.
Okay.
I'm kind of annoying that there's a little delay there, huh?
Yeah, that's okay though.
Gonna get started in just about 1 more minute.
So if you see us, you can watch us looking around and doing weird things. Awesome.
Should we ask them to say hey if they're on?
Yeah.
We're gonna test our little chat messenger here. So if you're on and you can hear us, shoot us a little message either in the chat box or if you're on YouTube in the comments, and just so we know that you're here and you can hear us. Starting now.
You can just say hi.
Just say hey. Let us know you're here.
Yeah, we're not that blurry when everyone's. What do you think?
Not. All right, it's time, girl.
Okay.
You go for it.
Welcome! We are so excited that you are here joining us. I'm Libby.
I'm Kate from Green Plate Kate. Sorry.
Yeah,
Welcome.
Green Plate Kate. And we are just thrilled to be here today in this virtual workshop to share with you lots of goodies and really provide so you can start getting curious about what's true for you when it comes to dieting and body image and body wisdom and that whole realm. So welcome, welcome, welcome.
Yes, welcome. We're just going to kind of make sure everybody can hear us, work out any kinks that might be there. So if you're having any trouble with volume or anything, you can just kind of jot in the little chat box there or leave a comment on YouTube, let us know. You can send me a tweet. I got my phone right here, Green Plate Kate, at Green Plate Kate. You can send a tweet, say, hey, you know, I have a question or I can't hear. Lots of ways to connect with us. And otherwise, I think we're probably gonna get started.
Yeah, we're just gonna go right in. And if you can, if you are with us live right now, if you can just let us know that you can hear us, that would be great. I think we tested it and we're good. Just double checking though, and that you can see us.
Yes,
clearly.
Yes. So yeah, if you're able to just shoot a little message, that would be good. Great. And otherwise, we'll get going. This is going to be on YouTube indefinitely afterwards. So if you have to cut out or miss anything, it will be available for you later. But we would love for you to stick through to the end. And we are going to be doing a giveaway at the end for those that stick on. So stick with us.
Yeah.
And here we go.
Yeah. So really, we wanted to bring you this workshop because of our experiences with our own clients. And what we see is a lot of people being super stressed out, super frustrated, super anxious around food, around what they see in the mirror, their bodies. And it's really just like this overall stress around health and wellness. And so because of this, we're like, we need to get some of this out here to create a little bit more ease from all this tension that we have built up within ourselves, really, as a culture, as a society, especially with women. So that's why we're here. If you want to add any more.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a sense of almost like a brokenness amongst people when they don't quite make their often unattainable goals or unrealistic goals that they have for themselves. They're like, if I could just, lose that last 5 pounds, or if I could, and then when we don't, we put this on ourselves as not being good enough, or as being broken, or being unsuccessful, and making us feel like we're a lesser person because of that. And that's just to show you a way of starting to think and view things differently, so you don't have to feel that way, and you don't have to go with you all the time, and you can start to just feel lighter in your mind and also your body, and just be happier and live a happy and really peaceful, contented life.
Yeah, and it's really like when you hit your head to the pillow at the end of the day, it's like feeling enough, feeling like you're still worthy, feeling lovable, feeling beautiful or hot or whatever. It's like creating more love when it comes to this kind of work, because what we see a lot is just this overwhelm and constant mental struggle when it comes to food and diet and body image. And we're here to share with you some things that will help you move along the path of more love and more openness and kindness to yourself.
Absolutely.
That's why we're here today. We're so excited about it.
We are.
Yeah. So we're just going to kind of share with you a little bit about who we are and why we're here with you. And just to give you kind of an idea of what this will look like, we'll both be sharing insights. We'll be leading you through a couple exercises. Make sure you have your pen and paper handy so that you can write down any questions or just take personal notes. And so we'll be sharing a little bit about ourselves, then we'll move into the content of this workshop. And then at the end, we'll leave time for you to ask any questions. And of course, at the end, we will talk about our giveaways. So that's housekeeping and a little bit about the agenda. Did you have anything else to add?
No, I think that's good.
Okay, so, awesome.
Well, I'll just let you know a little bit about me. For those of you who are not familiar with me, I'm a practitioner. So I've always been really interested in health and wellness, and a couple years ago I did go back and got my nutrition certification. It's a holistic nutrition certification, and started working with clients and began to notice something in kind of a subset of my client population. So I offer lots of nutrition programs and challenges and lots of good stuff to kind of help you learn how to start eating clean or lose weight, whatever your goal may be. And for a lot of people, those programs work great. They take the knowledge that they've learned, they instill it in their life, and then they're off and running, and I don't hear from them again, and it's awesome. And for a smaller subset of this population, we tend to get, and complete transparency here, this is me as well, tend to get a little addicted to the diet or obsessed with the latest thing. And so I noticed, both in my clients and then also in myself, that it was every month. So they're like, oh, I lost the 5 pounds on that XYZ diet, but it's back, and now I want to try something else. So what do you got for me now? And so they were kind of coming back, and I recognized this in them and in myself, and I realized, after a while, I was so done with it. I was so exhausted, so tired of that constant sort of obsession and that constant not being good enough, kind of what we talked about in our introduction. And so I started to look a little bit deeper, and I started to do a little bit of work, actually a lot of work with myself, some of my own coaches, a lot of reading, and just looking deeper than just a diet prescription, and deeper than just what a number would on my scale said, or what size pants I have to be fitting into that day. And that just opened a whole nother world for me, just with how I felt, how I use these philosophies with some of my clients. And I started to see them gain this sort of lightness in the way they felt about the way they felt about their body, just a more contentedness and a peacefulness, because at the end of the day, my goal for you and my goal for everybody is to enjoy this beautiful life that we've been given and not spend all of it obsessing about a number on a scale or the latest fad diet. And so my goal really is to help people and bring them to this place of just peace and happiness and health from a mind and body standpoint, because it is possible. And so that's kind of what's brought me to this place and what has led me to meet Libby and have us collaborate together. So that's a little on me.
I love it. It's so important that it's not just all left brain fanatic nutrition stuff, that you're really just finding a balance. So thanks for sharing that. So a little bit about me. it's like there's some stories we can share about ourselves, right? So I'm just going to share with you particularly a short version of the story I have with my body. And I think it's really important that you own your body story too. Because, I mean, once you actually write down your body story and you verbalize it and you get real with the truth of how you've been living or what you've been thinking about your body, it's like, woo, awareness central. It's really great. So my dad passed away 3 years ago, and that really hit me like a ton of bricks. And I really decided that if I only have this one life and this one opportunity in this body right now to live fully, I'm going to really start like in the direction of fitness and nutrition. And I lost 40 pounds and I was counting calories and I weighed myself multiple times throughout the day. And I was like so fanatic and into it. And when people would eat things like chocolate or beer, I'd be like, oh, well, I'm not going to eat that because I can't. Right. And myself because I like chocolate, you know, and so I lost a big part of myself, and I found it when I enrolled in the Institute for the Psychology of Eating, and I learned this whole new way of being with my body and with food and my relationship with food and body. And what I learned is this more right brain feminine approach to nutrition and to exercise and to just being every day. And so I was able to finally find a balance with, you know, like eating foods that really give me energy and keep me feeling vibrant and living a little and not being fanatic or crazy around this stuff. So now that I found this balance and know that it is possible, I'm really passionate about sharing that message with people so they're not just on one way or the other, where they're just trying to listen to their body all the time and they end up eating five pieces of cake in one sitting and feel sick. And they're like, they told their body. Or they're not just like eating celery all day and feeling miserable. Like there's a beautiful balance, and you can find that within yourself, and it takes work and experimenting. So that's just a little bit about where I've been and where I'm at now, to offer you a perspective of where I see things. So yeah,
Absolutely.
So welcome all of you, whether you're in the fanatic phase or the I don't care about anything I eat phase. It's all welcome here.
Absolutely. Thank you. That was great. So we are going to talk about a lot of the things we kind of touched on in our introduction. And the first thing we kind of want to touch on is kind of what diets do to us, like physiologically, like what happens in our bodies and our metabolisms, like when we go on diets. And it's no, coincidence that the diet industry is like this like $1 billion industry and diet, right? There's always somebody in a diet. And why is that, right? If diets work so well, wouldn't we all go on them once and be done, right?
Doesn't happen.
No, it doesn't happen because diets, they just really don't work. And you'll hear people say that a lot. And I'm going to tell you why. So when we go on a diet, and usually
take some notes, everyone.
Get your pens out. When we go on a diet, and it's usually some sort of deprivation or calorie restriction type of thing, our bodies kind of go into this like little bit of like a shutdown mode, right? And so when we're depriving ourselves of calories, yes, we are going to lose weight. And the first way that we lose it is usually in the form of losing muscle. And muscle, as you know, is our, metabolically active, lean tissue in our body that keeps things revved up. And also, as you know, muscle weighs more than fat. And so, yeah, we might see that scale drop in the first couple of days and be like, woohoo, I'm like losing weight. And the thing is, you're really not losing much fat. You're probably losing muscle. And so, yeah, you see the scale go down and you're like, sweet. And so you kind of keep it up. The thing is, there's only so much we can take before our body's like, enough. And inevitably, we kind of go back to our old ways of eating, whether it's sort of slowly and steadily, or if it's like, I'm binging now, screw this calorie deprivation, like give me all the pizza, right? Mm-hmm. And so when we gain the weight back, which we almost inevitably always do, we don't gain that lost muscle back as muscle. We gain that lost weight back as fat. And so we've started from a place where we have some muscle, we have some fat, we lose that metabolically active muscle, and we gain fat. So at the end of the day, we've gained the weight back and we've lost this awesome metabolically active tissue. And so we're actually getting fatter every time we kind of fail at a diet because we're gaining that metabolically void fat back. And so it's just kind of this constant vicious cycle. And so when we try it again, our metabolism and our biochemistry and all of that is already at lesser of a level than it was to begin with. And so it happens again, and we get a little bit fatter, lose a little bit less, have a little bit less muscle tissue, and it just kind of keeps going. And that's why it becomes harder and harder to lose weight every time we try to diet. And that's why we kind of feel yuckier and yuckier. And we actually are truly becoming a little bit fatter every time we diet. And so what's easier? Kind of going on this, I'm going to deprive myself, I'm going to be miserable, maybe lose a couple pounds, and then like going the other way, and now we're miserable and fat, or just finding a way to fuel our body in a steady, normal, happy state with maybe some ups and downs on the way, such as life. It's just this obviously that physiologic lesson like sucks, right? I mean, that's just not pretty. It's not what any of us want a component, right? I mean, how many of us have woken up and in a good mood and, today's a great day, blah, 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 and you get on that scale and whatever that number says can absolutely dictate your mood. So let's say it's not what you thought it was going to be, or if it's a pound up, or to go from like, hey, life is good to like here in like a hot second. And it can ruin your moment. It can ruin your whole morning. And some people, it can ruin your whole day, even your week. And, the thing is that number is so arbitrary to begin with. That scale doesn't take into consideration that you might have had a couple glasses of water an hour ago, or maybe you had soy sauce at sushi last night and that you're holding on a little sodium, a little extra water. It has absolutely it doesn't tell you exactly what's going on. And for it to be that powerful to us, that it can totally change our mood, our day, our week, that's pretty strong and that's pretty significant. And nothing should have that kind of power over us. And when we get that number on the scale, our whole vibe is kind of down and our whole energy is down. And I personally think it makes it easier for us to be like, oh, screw it. When you walk by the office, donut coffee hour, and you're like, instead of maybe one or maybe none, you have 3 because you're like, well, screw it. The scale was 2 pounds up, And so that's why just the whole diet mentality and hanging onto the number, letting them kind of rule our world, it's just, there's just no time for that. There's so much better things to do and focus on. And so that's where kind of the diet, what that does physiologically and what it does to our mood is just something that I think we can all do without.
Yeah. So if you guys don't know this part, and it's not my forte, so I love learning about the science. Like I actually didn't know much about how you gain more fat when you go on diets. But anyway, so I'm going to talk a little bit about, from an eating psychology standpoint, how, kind of internally this can happen. So for me, like you mentioned the scale, I used to weigh myself when I was in this fanatic state of nourishment and exercise. I used to weigh myself twice a day. And I heavily, heavily relied on that number to tell me I looked good. And one day, quite frankly, I was tired of it. I was done. Like, dear scale, I'm done. And I smashed my scale with the sledgehammer. Awesome. And it was this huge moment of stepping into my power as a person, not as just this number walking around the streets. This woman so obsessed with that. It's like I stepped into more maturity in a way. So I really like that you brought that up. And we obsess with numbers as a society. It's not just the scale, right? It's numbers like our age. It's numbers like our dress size. It's like numbers like how many miles do you have in your car? Like numbers everywhere. So it makes that we stress about numbers on the scale, of course. And there's a better way to determine your worth and your love for yourself. And in terms of the food part and dieting, it's like when you restrict foods on a diet, whether that's a 6-month diet or however long your diet is, you're gonna go back to the foods that you've been restricting, whether that's with a binge or whether that's just like constant overeating, whether that's more emotional eating and stress eating. And it's like when you restrict yourself, a lot happens internally and a lot happens emotionally to yourself. It's like you're an adult, but you're almost like telling your kid self what to do. And no one wants that. We want to be free to make our own choices and to trust ourselves with these decisions around food. So it's like for me, I would do this thing where I just would see how long I could go without eating. Like, I'll just try not to eat. And I love food, so it was really hard for me. But I'd be like, I bet I could go like 6 hours or something. And then I just start binging on all this food because I was freaking hungry. And it just wasn't fair. And there was this cycle that happened. Also, some things that I had done, and quite honestly, I still do them, is emotional eating. And I want to talk about that because I think a lot of people view emotional eating as bad, and it's not bad. It just is. Like, people are like, I just emotional eat and it's hard, Libby, and I shouldn't do that. And it's like, whoa, aren't we emotional people? Humans? We're emotional creatures. So it makes sense why if we're feeling in a certain way, we might gravitate towards food. I mean, think about it. From the time you came out of the womb, you were taught that food is love, like you would milk. Like, it's so wired in us to use food when it comes to emotions that I just don't think that like framing it as bad is healthy. Like, it's bad, but it can create a lot of an opportunity for messages. So for you, say that I'm working on my business and I'm doing all this stuff, and I come to this place where technology is bogging me down. This happens quite often. And I'll get really frustrated and stressed, and I'll go straight to the kitchen and I will just start eating. I'm like, oh, I'm not even hungry. Let me just see in here. And part of me is like, oh my gosh, you're not even hungry. Stop. And then part of me is like, eating then. And it's really stopping there. Like, here's a tool for you. In the middle of an emotional eating session or a binge or whatever, stress eating, I want you to stop and just get curious and ask yourself, well, why am I doing this? Like, what is the reason? Instead of just being rude to yourself, like, I am so fat, I don't even care. It's like, why? And you might even write down, like, these are the reasons why, like, technology sucks, like, I'm stressed, like, all the things that are actually present for you, and use them as a messenger and a guide instead of this thing that's bad. So how could you use that? I could stop in my emotional eating and be like, wow, so what this is showing me is that I have a lot of growth to do when it comes to technology. I have a lot of growth to do when it comes to learning something new. Like, how can I be kinder and more loving to myself as I start to learn more technology or as I start to do new things? So this work that we can do when we are in an emotional eating situation or when we are in a stress eating situation is slowing down. So it's like we're so fast paced all the time and this busyness thing that the best thing we can do is slow down when we're in the midst of this eating situation and think about what's actually going on. That's a gift that you can give to yourself. So you might want to write down on your notepad something that you can write or write down and come to is what is really going on right now. And you can use that when you are in the middle of this kind of a binge or emotional eating experience. So it's like when it comes to dieting, the emotional eating, stress eating, and binge eating are going to come up. It's going to come up a lot more because of the restrictions that we can often put on ourselves when it comes to diets. And I know that there's this whole definition thing around diets. And then some people are like, diets are what I have to go on when I'm getting ready for a wedding. Like, there's this misconception of what diet is. You know what we're talking about. We're talking about the diet that is like strict, like cutting out stuff and losing weight status. That's what we're talking about here in terms of diet. We're not talking about a way of life. So that's just a little bit about emotional eating, binge eating, stress eating. And personally, I don't have experience with anorexia or bulimia, but of course, these are parts of this world when it comes to eating that is manipulated by us. So I don't have much experience with that. And it's really important that if that's something that you can use these tools. So stopping yourself in the middle of that situation and saying, like, what is really going on? Like, is it that I'm really scared to go out in front of my friends knowing that I look bigger this week? Or what is really going on? Am I nervous that this guy won't like me if he thinks that I'm bloated? Like, stopping yourself and really asking that question is a tool that you can use. Do you have anything to hit on that?
Well, I actually have a question. So if you do say you're writing it down, you're like, what is going on, and you get it, what do you do with it?
That leads us to our next part.
Don't
skip
ahead?
I'm sure they were wondering too. They're like, then what? Now I know. Now I'm even more sad and frustrated, right? Okay, so what we're going to do right now, it's really important that you have a pen and paper. We're going to go ahead, and you can do this too. Like, I'm going to do it with them too. So what we're going to do is you are going to tap into your own feelings right now, your own truth, your own reality. And you are going to write down a list of judgments that you have about yourself when it comes to food. So, or nutrition. So here's some examples. I should eat less during the day. Here's another example. I should know exactly what to eat. It's a judgment if the word should is in it. So you could write down when it comes to food, like I eat too much food and I'm fat or whatever. That's a little bit more of a body image judgment too. But go ahead and write at least five judgments down that you have when it comes to food. This could be anything. Of course, I give you a couple of examples, but do you have any examples that come to mind for you?
Yeah, and I'm going to touch on this in a little bit. It's a lot of people, when we get really dogmatic about like different types of diets or even like diet lifestyles, it's like, oh, I should be eating X amount of protein at every meal, or I should be eating low carb, or I should not be eating grains because I'm paleo or whatever. It's like these shoulds, these yes or no's, these dogmatic things we get to. So that's what comes up a lot with me because
the specifics.
Yeah, like really the specifics, and I become very judgmental about them, which I guess is the exercise.
Yeah. So go ahead, and we're going to give you a second. So you're just going to see us writing some stuff down, and I really often encourage you to just take a moment wherever you are watching this, and just think like, what am I really judging myself and beating myself up about when it comes to food? I'm starting my list. The first one is I should eat less sugar. That's on my list.
That was my second one.
I bet someone else says that too.
Yeah.
So just go ahead and I didn't even realize these were present with me right now. It's like really, wow. I thought I had forgiven myself for these things already.
It's funny what kind of comes out when you just put it out there. Mine are pretty, I could have guessed them.
Really?
Yeah.
You know that they're there.
They're there. I think they're just kind of ingrained in me to some extent.
Yeah. I'm working on my fourth one here. I don't know where you guys are at, but keep up the great work. It's really important that you drop down into your loving place when you write these judgments down. I mean, our inner critic is a loud one. Our inner mean girl, as the inner mean girl reform school calls it. It's like, is this person inside of us that's the mean one? She's loud. He's loud if you're a guy. So it's like, I'm sure she has lots to say here. So you don't have to quiet her right now. You can just let the judgments roll. Do you have yours?
Yes.
Okay. I have one. Okay.
Do shouldn'ts work too? I have equal amounts of shouldn't.
Shouldn't and shoulds. Yeah. Anytime we should ourselves, whether it's shouldn'ts or shouldn't, it's often a judgment. So this is what you're going to do now. So I kind of explained to you, say that you're in the middle of this internal battle where you're not eating, you're eating a lot, you're binge eating, you're emotionally, you're eating and barfing, whatever the situation is where you're feeling really stressed out around dieting and food, you're going to first slow down and ask yourself. Now, this is hard. It's not just like, okay, I'm going to, you'll have to really be aware. You're going to slow down and you're going to say, what is really going on right now? And okay, like that's out, you know what's going on. Maybe you're stressed about this, stressed about that, whatever's really happening inside of you. And then it's like, you can finish eating and shoving your face if you want. It's really like, there's no right or wrong way to like work through this. There's no right or wrong way. This is just something that really, really works for a lot of people and a lot of clients. It's worked for me. So now that it's like, this is the truth, like this is what's actually stressing me out. What do I do now that I feel like crap, right? Not only have I just ate a lot or didn't eat or whatever happened, now I'm like, I have all this stuff, that the reason why I'm stressed. So now you go into this place, and you can call it self-forgiveness. Some people call it compassionate self-forgiveness. It's this allows you to get rid of any judgments and add in the truth. So it's a practice that you do on your own. You could practice it with someone the first few times if it helps. What you're going to do is you're going to write down any judgments that are coming up for you. So these are the ones I wrote down. You can look at yours. I wrote down, I should eat less sugar. I should drink more water. I should eat slowly. I should eat more greens. I only had 4 because I was talking to you guys. And there's plenty more, I'm sure. Even though I've done a lot of work with myself, they're still here. So you write down your judgments. They could be 1, they could be 20. It's really up to you. And then after that, you're going to come into this space of your loving. So you're going to really try to soften in to what's true, what's wise, what's your deepest self. And from there, you are going to start forgiving your judgments. So this can be a big thing for someone who doesn't like to soften into their loving of themselves, or people who are really hard for themselves, a lot of pressure. This can be difficult, and it's available for you to try. The first few times you do it, it might just feel like words. It might not feel actually like real deep things happening, but the more that you practice it, just like anything, the better you'll get, the better it'll feel, the more authentic it'll feel. So what you're going to do is you can put your hands wherever you want when you do this. I like to put them on my heart because it reminds me to drop down into my heart. And you're going to forgive yourself for buying into the beliefs of these judgments. So here's an example, and you'll want to use these words. You want to say, I forgive myself for buying into the belief that. So I'm going to say that one more time so you can write it down. It's really important. I forgive myself for buying into the belief that, and then you're going to state your judgment. I forgive myself for buying into the belief that I should eat less sugar. And you're going to do this through your entire list of judgments. I forgive myself for buying into the belief that I should drink more water. And it's like you're just going to go through all of the judgments. After that, it's like this place that is a little bit fuller, and it's still a little bit sad. So then after that whole process, the forgiveness process, you're going to go into the truth. So this is when you really have to step into your power, and you're going to say, the truth is, and write that down. The truth is, and then you're going to speak the truth of what's actually true. So I'd say something like this for mine. The truth is, I don't eat that much sugar. And in fact, I am really aware of the amount that I do eat. And sugar doesn't really necessarily make me feel awful because I am aware of how much I eat. Or whatever the truth is for you. Or let me do one for water, because that's one's really present for me. So the judgment is I should drink more water. So then you go to forgiveness. I forgive myself for buying into the belief that I should drink more water. I drink enough water so that I feel like a normal functioning human every day, and I'm getting better at drinking it. That's the truth. So it's like really turning these critical judgments into forgiveness and then into a truth. Do you want to practice one?
I love it.
Just so that they can see someone else doing it.
Let's see. So
first you say the judgment.
let's see. Let me see. I'm deciding.
There's no right or wrong one.
Okay.
They're all mean judgments, right, that we have on ourselves.
So I start with saying I forgive myself.
First, you just tell us the judgment. The
judgment is I should eat more protein.
Mm-hmm.
Say that. Okay. So, and then
I forgive
myself
for buying
into the belief that I need to eat more protein. The truth is, I eat really well 95% of the time, and it does allow me to, like you said, function as a normal human being and do the exercise and the workouts that I like to do and feel good. So I like that because it gets so stuck in what we think we have to do and should be doing. So
it's like the truth is like you're kicking butt, right? And yeah, when you do this by yourself and you really drop into your loving, whether you put on a candle or put some music on, it's like this can be a really emotional experience.
Yeah.
Because these judgments that we have inside ourselves are really the truth. They're the stories that we believe in our critical, pressure-filled lives. Like they're the truth. So when we can actually bring real truth from our deeper place, our more loving, wiser place, it's like a lot of emotion can come up. I've done this exercise on a lot of different things, not just food. And yeah, I've cried and I shed a lot of tears because it's like a lot comes up like, wow, I've been really too hard on myself here.
Right. Oh, I can believe that because even just now, like, talk about and like maybe I want to do this privately first. And so I do think it's an awesome exercise and I will revisit these for myself. For sure. So very cool exercise. I hope you were able to do that.
Yeah. And you could even use it for, the numbers on the scale. Say that you're struggling with, your weight, the number. You could even say like, the judgment is I should weigh 120 pounds according to the BMI.
I like that.
Or whatever. You can use this process for multiple things, not just food.
Cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And thank you guys for trying it. I know if you're in a busy situation or maybe you're at work right now, you're like, I can't do it right now. I don't want to start crying or I don't want to drop down into my heart space. I got to go back to work or whatever. That's great too. Just revisit it when you get home. And of course, if you have any questions about it, I can answer them.
Awesome. That leads us into my piece, right?
Yeah.
That leads us into the next thing I want to talk about really, really well. And that's really tapping into our body wisdom. So I think that, we need to start to surrender some of this stuff. And this was a great introduction into doing that. And, a lot of us have had this lifelong obsession with food and dieting. And don't you want to kind of be done with it? Don't you want to kind of just give it up? I mean, can you imagine how awesome it would be if you had a whole day or even a whole hour or even a whole 5 minutes where you didn't have to be worrying about it? Inner voice, that inner critic, I sometimes refer to her as the inner bitch, who is just kind of always telling us, well, you shouldn't have eaten that last night, or what are you going to eat next, or when are you going to burn off those calories, or when are you going to fit into those pants that you haven't worn in 10 years that are still looking at you from your closet? It's constant, right? I mean, I think a lot of you wouldn't be here if you didn't have some sort of that person in your brain, right?
And she doesn't always have to be that bitchy. I mean, she can she can say these mean things in a sweet way, and that's how mine is.
Mine's bitchy.
Oh, mine's like this. She's really mean, but she does it in a passive-aggressive, sweet way. So I really believe it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So we all have our own voice.
Yes. Well, so what I am challenging you guys to do today is, technical thing, is challenging you to try to give that up, because I think you can, and I think you should. And if you're really struggling with this diet and body image stuff, and you really feel imprisoned by it, then I'm going to challenge you to give it up. And so what does that mean? How do we do that? So this is a little bit of a visualization, so stick with me here. But so what I'm going to have you do is take all this junk in your head, right? The body image stuff, the diet, the number on the scale, the size of your jeans or your dress size, how you think somebody's looking at you, your hips, all that stuff that's in your head all the day. I want you to wrap it up. I want you to wrap it up in a package, and it can be a burlap sack with duct tape around it. It can be a beautiful pink, shiny, beautifully wrapped. I thought that yours would be beautiful wrapped with a beautiful shiny bow on it. However you want to wrap it up. I want you to wrap it up, and we're going to be giving this package away. And the person or thing we're going to give this package away to can be this is us saying I'm done, right? So if you believe in God, if you have a higher power, if it's the universe, if it's nature, if it's your great Aunt Martha who you had a great connection with who passed away, whoever it is, I want you to visualize yourself literally giving them this package of yours and say, I'm done, take it, it's yours, I'm out. And for some of us, just the act of doing that can actually make us feel lighter, a little bit lighter, right? A little bit of a little bit of a piece, just because you know what, it's not you anymore and it doesn't have to be. This is not all on you. It does not have to be. And some of us might have just done that in our head and been like, okay, yeah, so what? So now the very next step I want you to do is to start to be patient and to start listening. And we're not going to be listening to that inner critic, that inner bitch, or that inner sweetie. We're going to have to start to get to our inner wisdom, because believe it or not, the answers to the questions that you have, what's the best diet for me? What's the best workout for me? All of those answers are actually in yourself. And yes, you can have coaches and mentors and people kind of help guide you there, but there's no gym membership. There's no diet that's going to tell you exactly what you need. I promise you, it is within yourself. But if we can't get past the noise that's up here, we're never going to hear it, and we're never going to get those answers for ourselves. So I'm going to kind of try to teach you and tip you off on how to get a little bit more quiet and how to hear that voice that's in us, because it is, I promise you. So again, like I said, I'm just going to make sure I have my notes. I don't want to miss anything here. We've surrendered. And now we're going to start listening. And so how are we going to do that? We're going to start to get still. We're going to be patient, and we're going to start listening. And so when I talk about body wisdom and kind of knowing like the right way to eat, the right diet, people, I mean, I've tried every diet and I'm so confused, I don't even know. So let me give you a couple of examples. So let's talk about like a workout. So let's say on Monday mornings, that's your day to like really hit the gym, and you maybe do some high intensity workout. Maybe it's Orange Theory or something like Monday morning. That's your thing, and that's awesome. And it really reinvigorates you and energizes you for your day and your week, and you love it. And that's awesome. That's great. So let's say last Monday you woke up and you just like weren't feeling it, or maybe the weather was not great and you just weren't feeling it. And if you were to really listen to your inner self, you would be saying, well, maybe a nice yoga class sounds good today, or maybe maybe even an extra hour of sleep, God forbid, right? So, but instead of listening to that, you're listening to that voice up here saying, nope, got to go to the gym. You ate that piece of cake Saturday night. You got to go burn off those calories. What happens if you don't go today? You're going to mess up your whole week. You got to. So what do? We go to that workout. We're not feeling it when we get there. We're not feeling it while we're in it. We don't have a great workout. Instead of feeling energized, maybe we feel really taxed and maybe even more tired after the fact. And then maybe again, our mood is a little bit down. I'm like, well, that was a shitty workout, and now I've ruined everything. And once again, kind of our vibe is down. We're going to be more likely to maybe snack on something we wouldn't have. And that's a great example of like kind of listening to what our body's asking for. And from a diet example, and this kind of goes back to this protein thing I was just talking about. Let's say that your coach at your gym tells you that in order to lose weight, you have to eat protein with every meal, minimum of 20 grams, no matter what. So you're like, awesome, okay. I already feel stressed about that, and that's hypothetical. Right. So like, let's say you're really laser done on that, and most of the time that really works well for you, and you like it, and you like the way it makes you feel. And say you go to lunch with like a girlfriend, and you're sitting at this lovely little bistro, and you see a beautiful cup of soup on the menu, or maybe like a lovely vegetarian dish with some like local farm to table organic veggies that are in season, and it just sounds delicious. And like everything in your body is saying, oh my God, that sounds so good. Like your body's almost asking for those like nutrient dense, delicious vegetables. And you're just about to order it. And then you have this voice in the back of your head saying, nope, you have to have 20 grams protein minimum. You have to. And so you're like, I guess I have to have my protein. And so maybe you order like a steak salad, or maybe you order your like 8th chicken breast of the week or whatever. And it's fine, and you eat it. But it doesn't necessarily like serve and feel good in the body the way that maybe that other thing that you were really asking for does. And maybe you leave lunch unsatisfied. Maybe you leave lunch feeling a little heavier in your body than you wanted to, which again could set you up for later in the day, some cravings or some mood stuff that just isn't in line with what you want. So those are those things that like if we really listen to our inner wisdom there, when we tap into that, nobody's going to gain 5 or 10 pounds by missing one Orange Theory workout. No one's going to gain 5 or 10 pounds by indulging in a vegetarian dish, for goodness sake, at lunch and not having protein one meal of the day. So this is where we really have to start listening to what we're asking for. And like Libby touched on earlier, this isn't just like a full like permission to say I'm going to eat like all the cake and all the pizza because that's what my body's asking for, right? So that's where we kind of learn to fine tune. Like there's a difference between eating all the everything and being so strict that we can't even move out of it. It's kind of finding that.
Can I add something too?
Absolutely.
So Katie's talking about like how are we supposed to live what I mean all of this, which I loved, all of what you just shared. Here's the thing though, you don't know how to listen to your body unless it's ever spoken to you. So it's like some of us have been eating like food and not exercising for no idea what our body even feels like. We're like, what does it mean to get in our body? Like, what is that? Yeah. Like, that just sounds like some floofy stuff, right? And so here's what I think. Like, it's, you know how I was talking about the cake or the celery, like it's like for you, the best thing you can always be doing, regardless of where you've been and where you want to go, is experiment. I'm going to say that again. It's just experimenting with food and with exercise. It's like we can get on this, like, it has to be black or white. You have to do work out 5 days a week or none at all. And it's like experiment. Like maybe for you, experimenting to see how your body feels, and let's start to listen. Like going and eating a bunch of cake, and then if you have the poops or if you feel like crap for a day, it's like, oh, now I know. It's like going and testing things. Like I tested a 21-day cleanse 2 years ago. It was the best thing I've ever experimented with because it changed a lot of the way that I saw food. It helped me see what feels good in my body and what doesn't feel good. Like I just experimented with it. That was it. It wasn't like I'm doing this cleanse. It was like, I'm just going to see. So I just really want you to know that when it comes to like listening to our body and body wisdom, it really comes from experimenting with food and exercise, not from just trying it once and knowing. Like it's just this consistent experimentation. So that could be that like, okay, I'm going to experiment with not eating animals for a month and see how I feel. And say you get on day 10 and you're like, this sucks. Then eat some animals. Like, it's like you just experimented. There's no right or wrong here. It's really just this flow of trying things out. And the thing is that we don't often just give ourselves that ease. We're like, we have to do this certain thing, right? I told everyone I was going to not eat meat for a month and now I am. It's like, bleh. Just let that go and just start listening to what feels right. And I also think like if you're ever done experimenting, like I'm going to eat raw forever, then it's like maybe you got to check your mindset because you might have a fixed mindset about something. And it's like time to look at a growth mindset and like maybe one day I might not eat raw forever and to just be okay with that flow. And that's what we mean when we talk about listening to your body. It's like experimenting and seeing what works and then making a choice, a conscious experimenting. Absolutely. If that makes sense. Because it's totally like, what does it mean to listen to your body? It's like trying things and seeing how it feels. That's the only way you're going to learn how to listen.
Well, and on that note, we have to experiment with things, and we have to be willing to change because our bodies change. Mm-hmm. My body, my metabolism, my hormones, different than it was 5 years, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. The things that worked for me back then don't work for me now. And it doesn't mean that I need to try it harder or be more strict. Maybe there's a different way of eating that's going to work better for me right now with like the way my metabolism is and my reality and my stress level and my job and my kids. And so, yeah, when we stop tweaking and trying and stuff, then that's when we're going to get stuck up. So we need to, or stuck, because we just need to kind of constantly be tweaking. And so kind of back to like, how are we going to learn to listen to ourselves again? So I'm going to give you a couple tips here on that. And then I think we're going to be winding up. So again, first thing, we're surrendering it, right? We're just giving it up. We're done. Second thing, we're getting quiet. We're going to get quiet. We're going to start to try to learn and listen to what our body wisdom says. So how do we get quiet? How do we quiet that mind, right? So this is where, and I don't want people, some meditation can come in. And again, don't get freaked out by the M word. The M word, meditation, does not have to be sitting on a pillow, lighting incense and chanting. It does not.
Good, because I can't sit still to do that.
Definition of literally meditation means quieting your mind. Okay? So whatever that is going to be for you, wherever that can take you, whatever activity you can do that can take you away from the chatter, the constant judgment, the constant second guessing, the constant shoulds, the constant judgments, wherever that can be. So it could be gardening. It could be taking a walk. It could be coloring. Have you ever just taken your kids like and just colored and just like kind of just gotten quiet? It could be sitting on your front porch swing and just looking at your neighborhood and listening to the birds chirp. It could be whatever it is for you. And it's very hard for all of us when we start this because we're used to like having our phone and checking 5 different things and like listening to judging in our head. So that's why I even challenge you a couple minutes a day to start. Even just 1 minute can make a huge difference. And so I often say, like with my clients, it's like the 3 P's. okay, or prayer, whatever one you like, putting it out there. This is it. Universe, God, whatever, like, this is my intention, this is my prayer, this is my need, my whatever it is. And then the next one is patience, and just kind of being like patient with what's going to come. For some people, it's like a stroke of insight, like that very afternoon over their like afternoon tea. For some people, it's weeks, days, months, whatever, but it can become in like subtle shifts, like subtle little perception changes that we get over time. And all of a sudden we look back and we're like, oh my gosh, I was like totally neurotic about that. And I was like wasting all this like precious energy and these precious moments that I have in this beautiful life of mine. And like, wow, look how far I've come, because it came in like very small, subtle shifts. And then the last P is just perseverance. And I just ask you to persevere, doing the best that you can with everything that you have, that you're constantly trying to learn and grow and improve and treat your mind and body with the respect and the love that it deserves. Because when we move from a focus of judgment and these black and white dogmatic ways to a place of self-love, of forgiveness, both of ourselves and of others, of just going for more peace in life, that is usually when we start flowing with our life, as opposed to kind of this constant struggle against everything. And in my experience, and in many of my clients' experiences, once we've kind of gotten to that place, the weight tends to follow. And we have to just stop fighting with it, kind of give it up, believe and trust that change can happen, and then start to let it happen. So that's kind of,
well, yeah. And it's like, Katie mentions meditation, and it's like all that is helping you connect more to what's actually going on. That's all that is. So, I mean, meditation, like she mentioned, a lot of cool things that you can do besides just sitting there, because I can't just sit there. I go crazy. Well, and it's just not fun for me. Like, I'd rather be like kind of doing something. It's like, it's almost like though our mind isn't quieting that much, but it's almost like we're connecting more even. It's like you could just use that as a connection tool rather than specifically a quieting tool. Because for me, it's like I always have a lot of mental chatter going on. And I was going to say one thing that I do is I like to just like type or write. And that's a good way to connect more. Because there's so much going on, it's hard for me to actually know what is going on, right? It's like there's so many thoughts. So that helps me really center and get connected. And I think that's like the point of this meditation and the body wisdom, is just to connect to actually the truth and take a moment. And it's like for you busy bee people that are really attached to your agendas and to-do lists, I feel you, I hear you, and better, just put this on your agenda, like time with self, at least 5 minutes. Like, just put that on your agenda if that's going to make you feel like, okay, I have to do it. It's on the list, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sometimes if you don't like the term meditation, I just call it me time. It's just me time.
Mm-hmm.
And you schedule it if you need
free time, me time. I love that. Me time, free time. Yeah.
Because those are the moments that you're going to start connecting with your body, connecting to yourself, and you're going to find the answers. They're there. And yeah, sometimes it's helpful to have somebody kind of help you get through those, like learning how to do it and getting there. It's helpful to have coaches and mentors and people help you with. I mean, I've had my fair share of them, and I've come so far because of that. And so that's just something for me, it's just been kind of releasing all that crap that I dealt with in my mind for so long. It's just, there's just so much more to life, and happiness and peacefulness and contentment. And I want that for everybody. And that's why I think we both do this work, and we both feel passionate about it. So,
well, I mean, it's like the reason why we're doing this is because we've been through it. Like we weren't just like, 15 years old and we're like, we love our bodies forever. Like, we've struggled. Like, we've felt these lows and this like internal fire of just judgment and hatred for who we are because of what our bodies look like and feel like. And so it's really, and so, I mean, like we didn't touch on a ton, to be honest with you. I mean, there's like a whole world available here. I mean, we touched on like our own stories, what we see with clients. We touched on the science part of everything, which is amazing when it comes to dieting. We talked about our relationship with food, binge eating, emotional eating, all that. And we talked about the self-forgiveness exercise that you can do that's going to be huge if you use it and practice it. We did a visualization. Like, I love the idea of wrapping up the gift to be like, this doesn't belong to me anymore. Yeah. I even thought it would be fun if they drew like a picture gift and wrote down all of the stuff that they're going to give away in it. Like, I just more tangible sometimes. Yeah. And we talked a lot about body wisdom. and tools to help us connect more. It's like there's so much available for you in this last 50 minutes. It's nuts. And it's like just touching on the surface.
Yeah.
Like Katie said, the most work and the best work I've ever done has been with someone. And I mean, we think we like to have all the answers and know it all, and it's so much more helpful when you have someone else. So we are so available to you if you want to reach out to us and you have any questions. If you want to work with us, like we are here for you in service to you, because this is just a little bit of what's out there in this work.
Can you tell them how they can reach you?
Yeah, of course. So you can go to my website, libbycrow.com, LABBYCROW, crow like the bird. And I have lots of great things coming out. Online courses, I do live workshops, lots. So definitely connect, but it's really, this is just a scratch at the surface. And how do they get a hold of you?
So you can find me at greenplatekate.com. Either there on my website or on social media, same thing, Greenplate Kate, all over the place. I think it's same for you, right? Libby Crow.
We're all over.
Facebook, Instagram, yeah. Google. So you can reach us any of those places. And I also do small group coaching programs, which are virtual. So you can be anywhere in the world and be a part of that. And sometimes people really like the group communities kind of support. And I also do the one-on-one coaching, which is really personalized, and we can really get really deep and dig through all the stuff and get you to a much more contented, happy, peaceful place. So that's how you can find us. And we're right on time finishing up here. So
look at us. High five to that. Now's the fun time. So we're going to do a giveaway.
You want to do your giveaway dance?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, you got to finish your dance.
We'll have you do questions and then we'll do giveaway.
Okay, sorry.
No, that's good. Okay, so if you have any questions for us, we see that you're on, we see you live. Go ahead and type them in to the chat box or below in the comment section on YouTube. If you have any questions from what we talked about today, or maybe if there's something that we didn't touch on that you'd like us to touch on, we can do that too. But we're available for you to answer your questions. I know that sometimes it can be nerve-wracking, like maybe you have one really personal question and it feels big. But I encourage you to ask it, just because
if you're dealing with it, it's really likely that somebody else is too.
Yeah, it's like this idea that we're the only ones. Like bleh, it's everyone is if you are.
And while we're waiting for any questions to come through, talk about a giveaway. We're actually to give for all of you this whole hour.
Thank you.
So what we would like you to do is please leave a comment, any comment, or
like, hey, I'm on live.
Yeah.
I want a prize, or whatever kind of comment you want.
Yeah. And we will be, as soon as we wrap up here, we're going to be randomizing those, and we will let you know within the next 10 minutes. And you want to tell them what that prize is?
Yes. So this prize is from me. We're giving away 2 together, but this live prize is from me, and it is a 2-hour personalized coaching session for you. So really, we can touch on whatever you want. I like to go into the full life spectrum, and we can make health a priority in that conversation. But it's a 2-hour conversation, a powerful coaching call for you from me. Awesome. So it's a big deal. It's a lot happens when people sit with me for that time. And if you're the lucky winner, then I can't wait for you to experience what that's like to work one-on-one with me. That's the prize giveaway for today. So make sure that you comment. I don't think anyone has questions. I think there is some lag time, but I'm not seeing anything come up, which is fine.
Yeah,
that's
because we're on the hangout and we're on the YouTube, and we have both screens up, and there's a lag. And so if you put your question and we haven't heard it yet, give us just a second. So that awesome giveaway is for those of you who have been right now, who are on with us live. And we also understand that a lot of you guys couldn't be on live today. And so that's why this will be available on YouTube for you. And we want to make a giveaway available for you as well. So we are allowing up till Friday, this Friday at, did we say 6 p.m.
Mountain
Time, to go ahead and leave a comment on the YouTube page, just under this presentation, under this video, anything you want. It can just be like, hi. It can be.
That was great. You guys are beautiful.
You guys rock.
Whatever you want to say.
But leave a comment. We'd love to hear your feedback. I mean, if you loved it, if you have constructive criticism, that'd be awesome too. If there's something you want to hear from in the future, maybe. So we will be pulling a winner from those comments on Friday. It will be a coaching session with me. And I have several different options, and if we're in this realm together, it's probably my sabotage surrender, where I help you start to move past the blocks and move past the things that you think are sabotaging you. And again, just surrendering it. And if you'd like to pull some nutrition pieces in there and really look at some dietary pieces, I'm happy to do that as well. So a call from each one of us, or a session from each one of us, is what we're giving you all today.
Live. So if you're on live, which we see that you are, go ahead and just type in whatever comment, like, woo, thank you, or that was really intriguing. I can't wait to do again. If you want to pass along this recording to someone, we'll make it available for you, and then they can comment up until the next 3 days, until Friday at 6 p.m. And then we'll go from those comments and we'll pull a name, and then they'll win Katie's prize giveaway. So that's the plan. Yeah. And we are just so grateful that you spend an hour with us, that you are open to this material. I mean, a lot of people are so closed that they don't even want to go here. And I really acknowledge you and appreciate you for showing up and for being open to learning something new, for taking away exactly what you were supposed to take away. I highly believe that you got exactly what you were supposed to get out of this. And for just sticking with it, and for knowing that there is more available to you in terms of loving your body, relaxing around food, and just feeling like a normal person who's not stressed about this stuff day to day.
Absolutely. Yeah. And if you can't tell, we kind of love talking about this. It jazzes us up and lights us up. It's fun for us. And we talked about this before we went live. It's like, sure, there's some nerves, and am I going to cover everything I want? But at the end of the day, like Libby says, like, if you even took one piece away from this today, then you have spent your time well, and our time has definitely been spent well. This is fun for us. We want to serve you, and we just want to make a difference in all your life so you can all be happy. And we
love you guys. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Libby Crow, and this is
Kate with Green Plate Kate.
And we're just so blessed and honored that you came to do some work, and we can't wait to see what you do with it. So take care. Cheers, and cheers to you and that body loving.
Bye, guys. Take care.
Bye.